Call the meeting to order. Everyone rise for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Can we have a roll call?
Yes, Wonder Jen.
Here.
Hybor.
Here.
Steffes.
Here.
Me, yes. Dahan.
Here.
Vanek.
Yes, here.
All right, so good.
Great. Thank you. Please note, as a courtesy to members of the audience and the Board of Education, please silence your cell phone, and the public will only be able to speak during public comment if signed up. I've got the forms here, and any others. Well set.
Hey, Walt, we're getting some feedback.
Yeah, we are.
That's not Walt. No, it's not?
I've been accused of liking the sound of my own voice, but not this way. So.
Okay.
All right, can we get an approval of the agenda?
So moved.
Support.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Reports agenda. Let's start off down at the end. How about that?
Sure, why not? I'll step away from the microphone a little bit. So you can feedback. First of all, I just wanted to say thank you to Roger, to Kent ISD for today. Congratulations to Amy Campbell, who'll be our next board member. If I'm stealing her thunder, I'm sorry. But also thank you to Mary Gunther for having the courage to apply for the spot as well, and all the other candidates too. Just one thing to touch on. I missed the last meeting, so I was ill. I didn't want to come spread it to all you. So, but just prior to that, we did a reunification meeting at Res Life, and I just want to tell you, with Mark Easterly leading the way, soon we're going to do a staff walkthrough, which we'll all be invited to, so you can see what that process looks like, actually feet walking through the process. Then we'll do a full-scale drill in the fall. So we're kind of crawling here, we're getting to the walking stage, and then running will be this fall. So I'll keep you all updated on that, but Mark is leading the way and doing a great job. So appreciate him.
Awesome.
That's all I have.
Perfect. Thank you. Glad you're feeling better.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, Ms. Vanek.
Thank you. So this last month has been very busy, and I've loved it. March is reading month, as you know, and so I've been able to go to a number of schools. I was at Grandville, and this week I'll be at Central and at West to be a guest reader, which I enjoy doing greatly because that's the best part of being on this board. I just want you to know. I was able to also be a judge for the Amazing Shake, which was just seamless. It was a wonder. It was just an incredible wonder, and to see these kids perform so well under such high pressure, it puts a lot of us adults to shame. I'll just say that right now. Enjoyed watching our hockey team and their faithful families and friends make it to the Frozen Four. Didn't quite make it past there, but we were just so thrilled for them that they made it even there. Was able to attend the 6th grade concert that's led by our very talented and dedicated choir teachers Ben Moore and Rachel Niwiata. Kids did a fantastic job. The other parts that I've been busy with, however, have not been as much fun because I have fielded literally dozens of emails and social media posts questioning the processes on this board, and in particular, the process that we use to make this replacement that the ISD made for us tonight with installing Amy Campbell. And all of the emails that I received stated their dismay at the lack of objective reasoning resulting in the need to actually send this decision to the ISD. And I felt like I did my best to respond in a manner that reflected what I have believed to be the appropriate tenor called for by a board member, and tonight I'd like to just address that slightly. During our discourse regarding replacing our board member, I thought it was ironic that in the conversation that DEI came up. I don't know if you caught that. But diversity, equity, and inclusion came up in this conversation, and it wasn't from me. believe it or not. It came up in talking about how we needed diversity on our board by needing more than just educators on our board. Well, the fact is, we do have a minority of educators on this board. I believe there's only 2 of us that served in a classroom. And even though I was a teacher, I also began my own business, and I am now a business owner in Grand Rapids. And if anything, we're a little business heavy. That's diversity. Inclusion was also a word at practice here, and it unfortunately has many negative connotations from this board. It's been portrayed in a negative light, and even though we have seen clearly how in our district, inclusion benefits all of our students. Inclusion, as you know, was a policy brought forth in our country and even applied at the local level because of historic institutional practices that excluded people based on their gender, ethnicity, religion, or disabilities. These people were denied the ability to participate successfully in a setting, whether it be education or work-wise, because they'd been harassed or kept down or bullied. Inclusion, under this definition, became the foremost argument for the support of Mary Gunther. Mary was bullied and therefore deserved a seat on this board. That is inclusion. I skipped over equity because I felt like the only equity that was involved here was the fact that when the initial 19 people were ranked, that there was only equity in 3 people voting exactly equally the same of each person, of all 19 candidates. And what was equal was the oppression of the chance for other exceptionally qualified candidates to rise to the top. And as much as the counter-argument to equity in DEI is the idea of meritocracy, even that ideal did not see the light of day in the reasoning for this ranking. In other words, as clearly was admitted, there was no objectivity used in the decision-making that was guided here. A community member who supported that, even as much, admitted to the fact that during his public comment that there was a push that people could have made here to push their own list of top 5 candidates, including himself, and vote on them, as you knew that Amy would not be here for a while at least. And we went then to the ranked list of 19 people who generously gave their time to apply for this position. This was a chance for equity. But at this point, rather than using an objective means of evaluating these people, instead there was a marched lockstep move to rank these 19 people identically. You can say this was your right, but according to board policy, it is not. Then after our interviews, rather than even considering another option other than your first choice and my first choice, you guys became obstructionists and refused to even consider another qualified person. The so-called embarrassment of having to send this decision to the ISD board lies squarely at your feet. Unknowingly, you gave a very manipulated version of DEI the spotlight. I'm not sure if everyone has read that part of the board policy handbook. I have. I've spent hours going through that thick thing. Giving your attention to the minutia of all the edits that we have had to approve, Bob in particular, I have a hard time believing you haven't read this part of the policy, which dictates how board members are called to serve their community. It states emphatically and clearly that, in fact, board members are to use objectivity in their decision-making and conduct. And I will read this. This is from the part 2302, Board Code of Ethics, Section A, item number 6. Each board member will render all decisions based on an objective evaluation of available information, exercising independent judgment. I take that very seriously. So, logically, as I'm trying to figure out why you thought it was okay to be subjective in making your ranked list, I can only conclude one of the following options. 1, you haven't read that part of the policy, which is a board member responsibility. Number 2, you don't understand what objectivity means. Or 3, you deliberately met and chose to vote unanimously, sidestepping the use of objective and independent thinking for your own purposes. If it's the third item that happened, I would call on you all to at the very least apologize for and denounce the decisions and actions you have taken. At the most, if you would feel so compelled, you have breached your trust to this board and you might want to consider stepping down. I say that this has been a breach of trust with our community members on both sides of this argument, because if I had done that, Amy had done that, Jason had done that, there would be people here screaming down these walls and or skulking around placing propaganda flyers on cars. The people of this community voted all of us into this office to act in good faith, to follow the laws and policies that should be guiding our decision-making as we lead our school district. Good faith is an inherent and right assumption of this position, and it's imperative that we live up to this ideal. I do not believe that the actions were made in good faith, and it was deliberate obstruction. That being said, if we are to stay as an existing body, and now that we have Amy who will be joining us, all of us owe it to the school district, to our students and staff, and to our families and businesses to move forward in the light of that good faith that they've placed in us. I would like to make a very strong suggestion here, that each member take the time to reread this part of our policy book. What are our board code of ethics and expectations? This should govern how we conduct ourselves in practice and in presentation behind and in front of these folks here that are with us. Then I would encourage each of us to get together with other board members of whom we are not well acquainted, one at a time, and have coffee and just talk. Get to know each other. Bob, you and I are the elder statesmen here, right? We're the oldest folks on this board. We should also be the wiser parties. If we're not, we're just old. I invite you in particular to meet me for coffee and a chance to find even an inch of common ground that we could share so that we can come to this board and work together. I think other symbols of unity could be that all of us verbally recommit to the mission statement, the strategic plan under which we sit as we meet. I would also like us to unanimously approve and sign a board statement condemning overt and covert harassment in any form against any person associated with this body. I think it is got to be done. Finished. I'm sick of it. We've been charged within our purview to keep Grandville Public Schools a destination district where this district as a whole can fulfill our mission statement. So we need to find a functional means of moving forward. Our greater community deserves it. The families we represent deserve it. Mostly, every single child we serve deserves to have leaders who demonstrate how to resolve differences, to be fair, to be nice, to have integrity and grit, and to be wise. There will always be differences in opinion. How we navigate them makes the right kind of difference in our world and our kids' world. Thank you.
Thank you. Bob? Bob?
I appreciate your right to say that. But I also want to say, welcome to the board, Amy. I look forward to working with you. I think if you look at past meetings that have either been recorded or you look at the minutes, you'll find that I am very inquisitive. I try to be very fair, and I try to make sure all sides of a subject are debated. So, welcome to the board.
Thank you. Amy?
Oh, I've got a lot. Okay, so first of all, welcome Amy. Went and listened to you, did a great job with your interview today. Congratulations on having the Kent ISD vote you in. I am super, super excited about our hockey team and how they did. They went to the Frozen Four. They played an amazingly close game. Sally I just couldn't believe all the people that traveled out to see them. The other thing that's really impressive about this team is we had 6 of our players make all conference. We had 2 of our players make all conference honorable mention. We just had 2 boys make all state first team. And we had 2 of our players make Team Michigan. These are huge honors. We have an amazing coach in Joel Brazil and all the rest of our coaches. It's just been a pleasure to watch these kids work together. On the other side of what we have experienced as a family is there has been so much going on with band. This coming weekend, it's in 2 weekends that we have the Winter Winds performing.
Yes.
2 weeks.
The week of.
The 29th.
Spring
Yep.
break, yeah.
Thank you. All right, but before that, we just had Band Festival where every single one of our middle school through high school bands all received first place. Then this last week on my mother's 88th birthday, she drove all the way up here from Indiana to see the Jazz Festival, where our 7th and 8th grade and our 2 high school jazz bands performed, and she said it was the best birthday she ever had, so way to go, band, yeah. Then after, that deserves a clap, actually. And then band again, after that, this has just been an insane amount of time for them. They had state solo and ensemble. At the state level, we had over 30 students go to state, and we had over 20 different events. And can I just tell you, the support that those kids give each other, I was just talking to Jason, they're filled in that room with students and grandparents and parents and neighbors, and it's just amazing. So kudos to the band, I'm so impressed. Of course, spring sports have started. Lacrosse had their first scrimmages this past weekend, had some wins, had some losses. What's super exciting is the girls lacrosse team just added a junior varsity team, which means that program is growing. It's going to kind of stretch our varsity a little bit, but it does mean that we are growing that program, which is awesome. Robotics was just seeded to move on to Ontario. So they are, of course, doing everything that they do so well. Soccer won a couple games this week. Our golf and our boys volleyball. I think, Pete, are you on volleyball this year? Oh, man. Okay. So that volleyball program is really starting to thrive, too. It's been a joy. Sally talked a little bit about how we went to Grandville, and Mr. Scotto did a beautiful job of honoring his top students, and then he honored us as board members, which was so unnecessary, but so grateful for him. He's doing just wonderful work down there. As well as I am a mentor down at Century Park, which has been great. They are identifying students that might just need a little extra help. So we craft once a week. It's kind of fun. If you're interested, let me know, because there are so many students that could use this one-on-one time. March is reading month. I'm going to go to Central as well. And what is super cute is our lacrosse boys and our hockey boys are going in and reading to students. That's adorable. Okay, I love that. Adam's family's coming up and all those. Yep. So that's what I don't know what all the roles are, but that's April 24th through 27th. Are they still taking donations to have your name on a gravestone? So that's one of their fundraisers to help, is you can get your name put on a gravestone for the Addams family. So, and then I had one other thing that I wanted to add. On Sunday was my middle son's 20th birthday, so we drove over to University of Michigan to take him out to lunch and give him a pie. And he is in biochemistry, and he's taking organic chemistry right now, and I'm like, man, you okay? I mean, he's studying a lot. But he said to me, I am the head of all of my study groups, whether it's in organic chemistry or psychology, or he's taking an ethnicity class, which is super cool. And he is the leader in all of those small group studies. And so one of the things came up a couple meetings ago about our per student price and what that involves and if that's worth it. And I'm going to say having had students in private schools that were well over $10,000 a student, Grandville is nailing it. We are an amazing, amazing school district. It's a pleasure to see that our teachers, our coaches, our robotics club, any of our clubs, they are doing, I can't even say enough about it, right? Like, we had to choose private schools in a state that did vouchers, right? Because that diminished our public schools. Michigan is so on top of it with a non-voucher state, and our public schools are strong. So I just want you to know that we are definitely going to come into some weird times with budgets probably. But right now, what we are doing with the money we have per pupil it's a gift. So thank you to our people who do our finances, to our administration, to our teachers, and man, our students are top notch. So thanks. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Just also say congratulations to Amy and welcome to being on the board. I was going to congratulate Dr. Merkel on his son's winning the state championship. But he's not here. But that is.
He's at the banquet.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
All right. But I mean, for an individual to win something like that is a huge accomplishment. I was just going to say from the family to the student, all the practice and time that goes into that is pretty incredible. Last week, got to spend time walking. I went just after school just to walk around the practice fields and see everybody practicing on one of the nice days, and it was just awesome to be out there and see just the crazy amount of students that we have participating in all that is so awesome to see. I was mentioning to Roger before the meeting, but we were in spring break, like Grand Valley spring break, the week before that in Florida, and the high schools down there were just empty, like after school, and even later on they locked them up and wouldn't let people onto the ground. So my wife and I talked about that here, that, I mean, if you go into our high school parking lot, there's people there almost 24/7. I mean, the teachers, the staff that are, volunteering their time to coach or do extra activities is incredible what we have here, and the parents that support it. And then also for the reading month, I'll be at Central this week and East next week. So it's good to not be traveling for work so I can do some of that stuff. But thank you.
Cool. Good. Thank you. So a lot of repeats, right? So thank you guys all for everything everyone's been doing and getting out there. And second off, apologize, Joe. I completely forgot your name. I'd seen your moment, so I apologize at the beginning of the meeting. So sit down there at the end.
That's all right.
God, I know his name, but I can't remember. So I apologize, Joe. So that's on me. But I want to thank all the applicants for the open board position. It was really great to see so much interest there in that opening. And also thank you to all the input that we got from the public. And we did receive a lot of correspondence from folks. So it makes me feel good that people are paying attention and they know what's going on, right, with our schools and with our administration and with our board and so forth. So thank you very much for all the input that you shared there. Welcome, Amy, as well. Congratulations there. Back there behind the corner. All right. Thank you. And thank you to the KISD for taking over this process and finishing it for us. We mentioned obviously all the spring sports going on, all the all-state honorees and the competitions with powerlifting, hockey, cheer, swim and dive. I mean, there was so much going on, right? I mean, so just congratulations to all those groups. Went to the Jazz Festival at Northview, which was really cool and really great to hear them. All the all-state solo ensemble, ditto that. I mean, just it's so cool to see all the parents and all the kids support each other. That was really cool to see. The Amazing Shake, just an awesome event. I mean, for anyone who gets the opportunity to do that or volunteer for it, it's incredible. I mean, you get these 5th and 6th grade kids, and they actually have one of the sections called Work the Room, where you have a bunch of adults in there, and these kids, 5th and 6th grade, they're responsible to going up to each adult and work the room. I mean, there's a lot of adults probably that can't do that. I mean, it's incredible to see them go in and just make small talk and introduce themselves. So that's really cool. Talked about the spring sports. congrats to the athletic boosters, scholarship winners. That event was last week or 2 weeks ago. I can't remember now. So they give out their scholarships. I'll put a plug in there if anyone's interested in volunteering. It's a pretty low level commitment, but it is a group that does need the support and people to help coordinate that. We've got a lot of folks that are, I'll say, aging out because their kids are graduating, that are working on that board. So we're always looking for new folks to come and get involved. Again, real low barrier to entry, real easy thing to do. If you have kids that are in sports, it is a great group to be involved in. Let's see here. What else did I have on here? The RoboDogs, their continued success. You guys talked about that. And if you didn't catch it on social media, if you don't follow them on social media, Doug or one of the moderators made a mention that he's had 30 inquiries about joining the group. And he said, you know what? All you have to do is transfer to Grandville. And you're more than welcome to. So, I mean, again, you talk about Destination District, right? Just one of those organizations, those groups that really help set Grandville apart. And so thank you to all the coaches, all the parents that put in the thousands of hours every year, and to the students that make that a great event. And I think that is all I have for now. So that's it. Roger.
Jason.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. I appreciate that, Joe. Thank you. That helps me out.
All right. My first thing, Mr. Wondergem is here, and our wonderful kids from West. I know West is best, right? All right. So we're going to
Say it 17 more times, probably.
There you go. So we're going to turn it over to Mr. Wondergem and the wonderful West kids.
All right. Yes, so I am John Wondergem, principal here at West Elementary. You guys want to base? You guys are out of the crowd. What do you think? They just kind of went for it that way. Let's do it then. Awesome. If you guys want to see the presentation, it's right behind you. Okay. Yes. So I'm the principal at West. It is just the joy of my life to be the leader over there at West. Again, it's the building, for those that don't know, that I went to when I was here in elementary school. So the joke is that I don't get out much here in Grandville, but I think that speaks to, again, we talk about what a special place this district is. It means so much to me to be back serving our students and our families in that building. So I have Noel in 3rd grade, Layla in 2nd grade, Maddox in 1st, Emerson, his sister, in 3rd, and Henrietta in 3rd grade, here to talk about math workshop this year. So this is kind of a new building-wide initiative that we took on this year as a staff collectively. I'll kind of get into the reasons why tonight, but it's something that we're really excited about, that we've seen great results with our kids and for our teachers as well. So just a few things that we'll go over. Really the background as to why we felt like as a staff that we wanted to commit to this year. Give you all an overview of kind of what those routines are and what math workshop looks like on a day-to-day basis within really a K to 4 classroom. Talk about what the student and teacher impact is, and then just a quick little Q&A session for our students to share some of the things that they love about math workshop, about West, all that great stuff. And if you guys have anything that you want to chime in with, just like we're in school, raise your hand, let me know, and we'll make sure that you can share that. Okay, awesome. All right. So before, I guess not even before, but just more of the traditional kind of approach that our staff took on to math instruction. It felt like before it was a lot of just kind of the sit and get. I touch on it here as well, but our current math curricular tool that we use in Visions is incredibly robust and has so many great things to offer our students K-4 that our teachers at times just didn't really feel like what is the best way to navigate it. Because there are so many things that I could use within it. But in order to do all of that, it takes way too much time. So how are teachers able to deliver instruction, address core content efficiently? It felt like before that those things weren't happening, and because of that, because it was more of a sit and get, our students are not engaged. They're losing engagement. They're not having fun with math. There's little opportunity to find the fun within math. And we know math is not just the concrete numbers, right? It's the idea of STEAM, it's the idea of hands-on, the manipulatives, all that great stuff that when we think of math instruction, that it should be. So what are those ideal outcomes? What did we want? We wanted just that. We wanted an increase in student engagement, differentiating amongst our individual students. We know every student has unique learning needs and a variety of different things that are going to help them learn most successfully in their classroom. So the idea of or at least some form of a instructional model that allows us to do that. Continuing to assess and monitor how our students are doing within the classroom before the length of the time that lessons took. Moving through one day at a time didn't allow us to be in touch as best as we wanted to be with how students are actually doing within the classroom. And again, addressing that critical content strategically. Not spending so much time on one thing or realizing that we have to bit and piece by the end of the year because, oh, the test is coming up and we took so long on this that we need to cram everything in. What is a way that we can attack those things strategically and efficiently? So that's where Math Workshop comes in. One thing that I apologize I didn't include here is the vast amount of research that would support this instructional model. It is something that we feel is research-based. A lot of the leadership things that we've been doing amongst our teachers this year has been driven from the research and how we're continuing to enhance the quality of our math workshop for our students. So this is essentially what it looks like. Our students would start the math lesson with a number sense routine. So I can give you an example of what this looks like. Layla, I was in your classroom back in the fall to watch Miss Gorno teach math. And isn't Miss Gorno amazing? Yeah, come on, she's amazing, isn't she? Miss Gorno, all she did was she wrote the number 20 on the board. That's all she did. And what Layla and her classmates did was they talked to Miss Gorno and showed her and demonstrated how they could create 20. So we had some students that said 10 times 2. Ooh, testing my math a little bit. 10 times 2. We had some that said 20 plus 0. We had some that drew a picture of what that might look like. We had some 24 minus 4. And then the board gets completely covered with all of these different ways to create the number 20. And so that allows our students to share what they know. It allows them to gain from one another. And that takes 3 minutes, maybe, right? So we're pretty efficient already from the get-go. Then we do our mini lesson, and this is likely driven, from our core standards. This is likely pulled from our curricular tool and visions, about 10, 15 minutes maybe as a whole group in order to deliver that. And then student centers. So our teachers then will have small groups. Likely one teacher is with a group of students at the front, likely reteaching or doing some guided practice. Maybe some students that are really excelling with a certain topic, so they're going to do a little bit more enrichment. But then there are students doing other activities around the room during that time. So you can imagine too, a lot of the prep work, especially in August, September, and October, is the behavior, is the routine, is the structure that our teachers spend such a great time coaching and building with our kids. This is not something that is just, here, go do it, because you can imagine what might happen with 7-year-olds and 8-year-olds in that fashion, but it's really strategic in how our teachers laid it out, and I'm just incredibly proud of all of them for that. And then at the end, we have opportunity for students to share, for teachers to highlight great things that they noticed and celebrate our great students' work. So here's kind of the layout of what it might, again, look like. So we have our 5 to 10-minute number sense routine, and then our mini lesson, through Envisions. For those that don't know her too, Holly Ashley is our math interventionist at West. She has been really the leader and kind of, co with myself and our building team in driving this and laying this out. So we have our students maybe in 4 different groups. So you can see maybe there's some teacher-led things with guided practice. Our district, we use the Dreambox and Reflex curriculum for extended math opportunity and fact fluency for our 2nd through 4th graders. Maybe there's opportunity for kids to play a game. And then there's also, our teachers are very big into STEAM and to having our kids be hands-on, so we're having that as part of that as well. And what we found this year, especially in building this out for our students, is that adding that component, again, increases the engagement. I think I have it on the next slide, but what we don't hear now, where we heard before, is, when is math done? Or are we done yet? When's the next thing coming? Because it's very predictable, it's short-lived in each station, it's consistent, and we know those are the best things for our kids. So this is Miss Gorno's, isn't it, Layla? Yeah? Again, Miss Gorno, she's awesome. So table 1, they're doing their reflex work on the iPad, their fact fluency. Then you can see table 2, they're doing their math book with Miss Gorno at the rug. Oh, Miss Gorno's font's not good on that one, Layla. Table 3.
Back table paper.
Okay, yep, so an individual paper there. Thank you. And then, yes, quiet sense at their seat. So then we rotate throughout that time, right? This is what it might look like in a 4th grade classroom. This is from Mrs. Davis, our awesome 4th grade teacher. So more independent as students are rolling through those small groups. Not the time? Okay. So the impact that it has on our students. Meaningful time with critical content, like we said, it increases. Shorter, more direct forms of instruction. We're not losing our kids, maybe throughout a 30 to 40 minute sit-down math lesson like we used to. More opportunities to engage with math and love it and be hands-on with it, like those STEM times. Consistency with rotations. It's predictable, it feels good, no more when are we done. And then more time on some of that extra stuff. We hear so often from our families that our kids don't know our multiplication facts. They don't know their facts, they don't know their facts, they don't know their facts. And so much of our new math curricula is evolved around the concepts behind math, but we do know the facts are important. They just are in order to get to that piece of mastery. So this has allowed our students to do that, right? And to do that at a really great rate. And I have proof of it because around the district, we have a little competition of our fact fluency percentage on reflex. West won last year. We won. We had the Krabby Trophy at West, the Krabby little guy on reflex that the kids know and love. And we're still currently in first place. We were the first to hit 90% fluency this past week. So a little fun competition, but again, that's a testament to our teachers. That's a testament to our students in the hard work that they're putting in. So, and then how does this help teachers? This year especially, it's allowed us to have a really great conversation and have the same common understanding about what high quality math instruction is. The tools that we have within Visions, it's awesome, but this allows our teachers to bring in what they know, and what they feel good with, what they feel masters of, and that's what we want for our teachers. We've done some professional development work at the building around number sense routines, math workshop best practices. We've been able to talk about these in our teacher PLC meetings and staff meetings. Holly Ashley, again, who I mentioned along with Mrs. Davis, our fourth grade teacher, they're on our math vertical team. So laying out common assessments, commitments, those are things that they've done a great job with the district and then have communicated that back to us at West. And then more time to hear students talk. Again, we're not doing so much sit and get anymore. We're allowing the students to do, we're allowing the students to work and share and celebrate, and that's what we want. That's what we want from our kids. So I won't click on the link, but just a few weeks ago, again, Layla, I keep picking on you. Do you remember when that lady came into your room and took pictures about you guys doing math workshop? Yeah, we had the School News Network about a month ago. They came in and highlighted Miss Gorno. Again, Miss Gorno has kind of been a leader for our building as a teacher in rolling this out. So they highlighted the great work that our students were doing in that math workshop time. So it's very cool for our teachers and our kids to be recognized in that fashion. So I have some pictures from that article, just for you can see. So that's Miss Gorno with a group of students at the rug doing that small group time, and then some different shots of the STEM and the STEAM time. So that's all I got. I talked way too much, didn't I?
No, it's perfect.
No, not too much.
Perfect.
Okay. All right. So I do want to have our West students come up here and speak. I do have a few questions that I put up here that I'd love for you to think about. Maybe answer one of them. Maybe answer all of them. Here are my 3 questions. Okay. What do you love? What do you enjoy about Math Workshop? Why do you think Math Workshop is beneficial to students? Why do you think it's a good thing? Maddox is like, I have no idea. Well, you better say. And then number 3, what do you love about being at West? So I'll give you one of those as well. Okay? Does anybody want to come up first? You said you had no idea, and now you're ready. Come on. Do you want to stand, or do you think on a chair? You can stand on a chair if you want. They said it was okay. Stand up. Come on. Okay, what do you love? What do you want to say? This is Maddox. What do you want to say, Maddox? About math or about us?
I like being at West because I get to hang out with all my friends.
Awesome. Awesome. Great. Thank you. Who's up next? Who wants to share? Adam, come on up. I'll slide it back.
So I love being at West Elementary because number 1, West is best, and also it really gives students a great activity to do with all our fun events that we have, like March is Reading Month, our masked reader, and also the houses. those are really fun too. Every other Monday we have house meetings, and those are really fun. We get to enjoy time with other grades when we do those house meetings, and we get to have buddies, and we get to know each other throughout the year. So I love being at West, again, because West is best.
And all of our students are wearing their house shirts. You mentioned our house system. Yes, all of our students are wearing their shirts. Who's up next? Who wants to share something? What do you think? Tell me what you love about math workshop, or just tell me what you love about being at West. Oh, come on. You got it. You got it. What do you think?
What I like about math workshops is that you get to like go on your computers and do Frax, Reflex, or like Dreambox, whatever you're on, and the
Yeah, those online programs are fun. Layla, know what? Talk about Reflex, Layla. Layla, come tell us, how do you know when you're done with your Reflex? Come tell us. You can answer that. What do you have to do every day in order to be done with Reflex? You have to get something on the computer, on the tablet. What do you have to do?
you have to get your green light.
Here, stand up on the chair so we can see it like Matt. Careful.
You have to get your green light.
Your green light, what Layla means is you have to be on the program and work through the facts for about 15 to 20 minutes. And then the system says that you're good for the day, that you've done enough work with facts. So if you get your green light, that helps us with our 90% and increasing, right? Very nice. All right, that's about it. Come on. Either tell me what you love about West, or tell me your favorite math workshop station in this system. You choose your favorite station or what you love about West.
I like math workshop because I get to do 4th grade math.
Yeah.
So what kind of 4th grade math are you doing?
Like, I got past, I don't know how to describe it, but I got past 4-digit times 1-digit. So,
Multiplication.
yeah.
Good for you. So now you're continuing to do more with that. So Noelle shared, she just already mastered 4-digit by 1-digit multiplication as a 3rd grader. And I personally taught 4th grade, and I know that that already was a 4th grade skill. So good for you. So another example of how Math Workshop allows Mrs. Smith to help you continue growing, right? Amazing. Nice job. So that's everything that I would have for our students. Are there any other questions that you all might have for myself or for our kids? Yes.
So you were talking about a vertical team. So do you have a team in place to work with the staff at Oakstown as they transition from 4th to 5th grade in terms of continuing this good practice?
With Oakstown being new this year, it was a lot of wait and see
Sure.
how their system goes.
Sure.
So what we're excited about is I think we're in the process of aligning our curricular tools a little bit better from K4 through 5th and 6th next year. 5th grade and 6th grade, we're using different things. What I mentioned, Reflex too, Brian Mulder had already shared with us that he doesn't feel that Reflex is a necessity next year for Oakstown because of the work that the elementaries have put in to help the kids master their facts. So Frax is another system that is fractions based, right? So that might be something that the kids are using. So yeah, there's that ebb and flow back and forth between buildings, the vertical team, Oakstown, et cetera, on what's best for our kids as they're growing up.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have a question for the kids, for the students. So I'm Mr. Wonder Jim's dad.
I didn't say that.
What do you guys like best about Mr. Wonder Jim?
Oh.
That was a quick hit.
Checks in the mail.
Because we didn't really get to do this with Mr. Mulder, but on the morning announcements, we do one every week, every Monday. He always does a riddle for the week that the students try to solve, and the next week he always gives us a new one and tells us the answer to the last one. And he also does Would You Rathers every week, so yeah, he makes those announcements and it's really fun.
Nice. Layla, I'm never going to forget your name now, Layla.
Because he's nice.
No.
That's very acceptable. Thanks, guys.
Yes. Our riddle for the week was.
I was gonna ask.
Yeah, the riddle for last week was what goes up and down but never moves. My answer to that was a staircase. Last year I did that and it was the temperature. That was a good one. This week's is what tastes better than it smells? And my hint was this is not a food. You know guys what I mean? Okay.
I think I actually know it.
Well, it's too early in the week. You can't say that. They always say when they want to know, it's just a whisper because then everyone else will know. Yes, so that is everything that is going on at West Elementary. Great work with math, so very proud of everyone. So.
Great job.
Thanks,
Great job. And congrats on the Krabby Trophy, guys. That's all from your hard work, so good job there. Yes,
Krabby Trophy.
yes.
Great job.
Excellent job.
So, thanks, kids, and thanks, Mr. Wondergem. I hope you don't plan on instilling dad jokes into the whole morning thing. Stick with the riddles.
Last week, in my bit in between acts was dead.
Okay, well, there you go.
I like that.
I do the dad jokes at home, and my wife looks at me. She says, "You know, you're not in elementary anymore. It's not funny."
Or the adults were laughing.
Yeah. But thank you so much.
Good job.
Appreciate it. So I have a little more that I'd like to mention. I'd like to thank the 19 people who applied for our vacant Board of Ed position. I would like to thank Mary Gunther for being one of 2 finalists and interviewing yet again at the Kent ISD. And Mary, I had a chance to tell Amy she was our person, and I had a chance to tell Mary that she didn't get this opportunity. And like she has in the past, she handled that with class. So I just like to commend her for that. I would like to thank Amy and congratulate her. In case you're wondering, why isn't she sitting up here? What'll happen next is we'll set up a time with her very soon. She has to take the oath of office. I am a lot of things, but I am not a notary. So we have people in our office who are, and so she'll take the oath of office and we'll have some great conversation, but just really appreciate her willingness and looking forward to her time on this board. So very excited about that. So here we are. We have a new board member, our 7th, completing that once again. My question to you, the Grandville Board of Education, and the citizens of Grandville, including myself, is now what? We have a choice. We can continue operating as we have since the challenging days of COVID, expressing opinions, some of them online, picking political sides, even though we are supposed to be nonpartisan, trying to prove the other side wrong, and refusing to understand those whose beliefs may differ from ours. Or we can get back to focusing on treating each other with the respect each of us deserves while we make the world a better place for our kids. When you first selected me as your superintendent a decade ago, this board set aside personal beliefs for the greater good of our students, our staff, our school system, and our community. You would never have guessed that many members came from one side of the aisle or the other side. That simply did not matter. What mattered was how we treated each other with mutual respect. We disagreed, yes, but always found a path forward that was best for our students and for our community. After those tough conversations, there was no resentment. Decisions were made and we stood unified. So, What has changed? Well, we all know the world has changed. We as a school district are a microcosm of the broader world, a world shaped by families, by social media, by politicians, and groups that used to come together for the common good. In our case, we serve a community of diverse adults, but in truth, our primary responsibility is to serve every student who comes through our doors. And honestly, I cringe when I think about how they might perceive our performance in fulfilling that duty. You must all be sick of this. I know I am. The good news is we can change this moving forward. We don't have to follow the chaos of society with all of its bickering and divisions. Instead, we can focus on why we are really here and on what we all have in common. Because after all, we have far more in common than we sometimes realize. We all want what's best for our kids and our families. We also love this place in which we live, or we simply wouldn't be here. Let's return to a place where we can be proud of our collective accomplishments, and we have so many accomplishments. You heard them already. So I ask you, the people I serve, what will it be? How will we move forward? We have an incredible opportunity to unite and make Grandville what it once was and what it can be in the future. I'll never forget the first event I attended here. After I became your superintendent, my son was with me, and when I asked him what he thought about Grandville, he said, "It's a larger community than we're used to, but more united than I've seen anywhere. They have their priorities straight, and it shows." As your leader and as a fellow citizen, I'm asking each of you to put personal opinions and differences aside for the greater good of our kids. They need us now more than ever. And only by coming together as one can we give them the best. I trust and believe in each and every one of you, and I truly want what's best for the greater good. I hope you feel the same. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. All right. Thank you for that. Any old business?
No business.
No business, all right. Number 4, consent action agenda. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Support.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion passes. And then regular action agenda, the 2024-2025 budget amendment. Can I get a motion?
So moved again.
Support.
You don't want to read the recommendation?
Oh, I apologize. All right. It is recommended the Board of Education approve the resolution within the 2024-2025 amended budget booklet as presented for the general fund. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Heather's here to answer any questions you might have.
Good evening. So we're going to spend a little bit of time tonight on, what's page 3 on the bottom of mine. The resolutions are on pages 1 and 2. So really what I want to touch on is the revenue, and I do want to go down by section. So just because I want to make sure that everybody has an understanding of what is in each section and the reason for either an increase or a decrease. When it comes to local sources, the majority of our local sources are from the taxes that we collect in the summertime. And we've seen growth in this area to the tune upwards of probably on average 6% over the last however many years. I talked with those at the Kent ISD who are in similar positions and roles that I do, and they said that Kent County, while they haven't released it, has a preliminary number of countywide that it's a little over 6% going into this next year. That doesn't mean that it'll be 6% for Grandville. It might be slightly different, but so that's what we're looking at there. Regarding state sources, whenever your tax base goes up, so your local revenue goes up, that does have a slight offset to your state aid, and that's formula driven based on Proposal A. But the largest decline there in our state revenue was, if you remember, the 31AA money, which was safety and security and mental health services, et cetera. When the new budget was approved, they had cut that significantly. There is a supplemental budget that we should receive in April, is what we're hearing now, that will give money back to that, which it is included in that 54 million. I did add it back in this amendment. But it's only half of what the original, that initial amount was. And then if we jump down to federal sources, well, it is slightly better than what I had proposed in last June. It's not anywhere near what it was, as you can see, the last 3 years of actual. And again, that has to do with, and I know we've talked about this, we've talked about it a lot as an admin team too. It's those COVID dollars falling off. And incoming transfers, a lot of that is our Act 18 funds, which is also based on property tax values, but that comes to us through the Kent ISD, and those are up as well. So kind of flat there, a little bit up a little bit from last year. And then the other is the indirect transfer from our food service fund, which we're estimating will be somewhere around 200,000, like it was last year. So revenue down from 23-24 and down from proposed budget, basically on the state side of things, state aid side of things. When we look at expenditures, when we talk instruction and basic programs, that's everything that it is our K-12 costs from the instruction side. So those in the classroom, and then added needs is all of the special ed costs as well. So we do still have some grants left that Dr. Merkel and I have worked on. And so when you see some of those changes between like added needs and pupil services, some of that has to do with what's allowable in that grant and how can we shift people to make it work. So overall, when you jump down under support services, you have pupil assistance, you have other instructional staff, which it tends to be more like your lunchroom, playground, your general admin, and then your school admin. And you can see as we go down the different departments. Central includes things like athletics and human resources, etc. So, and our community services, so that's our community ed program. A lot of that should be a wash, although pools are, no fun intended, never a wash when you're maintaining and running schools. So, and then some
Pardon
small
the pun,
outgoing
right?
transfers. I'm sorry.
Pardon the pun, right?
Yeah, sorry about the pun.
Well, John started it, you just tie into it, I understand.
So overall, this amendment we're bringing tonight, looking at $828,000 deficit compared to the $946. You can see how, like in the proposed budget, this number here, this fund balance, is based off of the final budget that was brought to you, and we came in a little bit better at the $8,025,000 versus the $7,866,000. So that's why this is the new number here for balance as of July 1. brings us down to 7.1 million or 8.46%.
Which is still slim.
Yes. Yep.
Like, we don't want it to get any slimmer.
Yeah, we're working hard there's some one-time costs in here, right? We opened a building, we opened Oaks.
Understand.
You know, I mean, don't get me wrong, there was also some savings, right? Whenever you take 2 grade levels and consolidate them into one place, you're able to get some savings there as well. But yeah, so, I mean, that's something we're working hard at.
Okay. No?
What are the options to grow that fund balance? And,
What are the options?
yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think you want to be careful. You want to look at staffing, but you'd like to try to stay away from just slashing across the board. So I think that's why I'd say when we're having a lot of conversation, we're talking about that internally. We're looking at, you know, what are our nice to haves versus our need to haves. We have some software programs that were put in place during COVID that we're looking at, right? Like,
Good.
you know, so I mean, we're looking at our expenditures. It's hard to generate revenue. I mean, we already take schools of choice, but we can open the floodgates and you still don't, you know, from year to year know what you're necessarily going to get there. I think we do a pretty good job of, through our school of choice. I mean, we lose from fall to spring every year, and then you roll back around to the next spring, and we typically a little bit in the fall. But I think our school of choice numbers that we've been opening for do a good job of covering that loss in the fall to the following spring.
And then we always still have to think about just birth rates in general, right? Because, I mean, people are just leaving Michigan,
Yes,
right?
and to that point, I mean, even in the budget, the state's budget, the next 3 years is drastic for the number of students that they're projecting, right? So,
I think when you look at what you're doing is you've been adjusting the levers just right. Because the picture is not rosy anymore, right? And it's cyclical. It's the bell curve. It's your biorhythms. You got it up and it's going to go down. And I think the administration did an exceptional job during COVID, especially with all the ESSER funds. And now to try to slowly parachute to a level we can try and manage and ward off any significant negative effects to the district. I think this shows you're adjusting it really good.
thank you. And then, like, I know I bring the budget and I talk about it, but it's not even just our cabinet, right, getting together. We get together with our admin team. And it's nice because, like, they may see something through a lens slightly different than I do, right? So I think we just really collaborate very well on bringing this to you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, and I appreciate your answer about looking at those programs, right, that we put in, because when we were here a year ago, we talked about that. And we said, hey, you know, we were able to expend a lot during that COVID time, and now we got to start figuring out what's working and what's not.
And it was right for kids, right?
Yeah.
That's what kids
Yep.
needed.
Yep, absolutely. But it's time now, we got to, you know, start looking at what's working and what's not and make those decisions. So, great.
Has the staff in general been kind of given the picture, it's time to start tightening our belts a little bit? What can you do to help? I remember when I was teaching, you know, we were asked to really think about how many copies do I have to make, that kind of thing. I mean, I know it's pennies, but all that can add up.
I chuckle because I have sent out the copy email.
Yeah.
We've talked about like conferences and PD and and again, we really focus on that, you know, nice to have versus need to have. And so when you, like, software is great if you're using it, right? And then there's that all in, everybody's using it, and then over time, we don't really need it anymore because it doesn't serve that same purpose. And so I guess that's the best example, other than the copies that I have of that. But yeah, we've talked a lot about that.
I think, you know, we put our money during COVID into our greatest resource, people. We hired people to support our staff and supporting our kids. And we've been fortunate over time, thus far, where we've been able to, through attrition, been able to maintain that at a very high level. The forecast, I don't, you know, and I know I gave you an update. You know, I think Bob said it, you know, it does go up and down, and I think we're heading into a time that isn't going to be as up as it's been. And, you know, we are trying to look at, for our near future, you know, ways that we, knowing we're not going to more than likely have that revenue anymore that we've had, you know, how can we, to the fullest extent, do what we need to do for kids, while at the same time, you know, abandon things that aren't necessarily working, or if there are things that are nice to have and we were able to have those, how do we prioritize and to the best of our ability. But make no mistake, our greatest resources are people, and we try to do everything we can to have people working with our kids. We've hired quality people to do that, and we're going to continue to do that. But, you know, I gave you the analogy, you know, last year it was sprinkling. I think I even said it in a board meeting and used that analogy. Right now, looking at the forecast for next year, while we don't have a concrete budget, and we probably won't for some time, we do see where it's a steady rain. It's not pouring, but it's a steady rain. So we all need to be cautious in how we're spending our money, make sure they're on our greatest resource to support our kids, and to make sure that we don't do things because we've always done them. We do the right things, and we abandon things that you know, aren't working, or things that, you know, maybe were a little more nice to have during that time. I know there are other districts that are sitting on 20-25% fund balances, and I'm not going to speak to how they're there, but I think my question would be is, if right now you have a 20 or 25% fund balance, what didn't you do that we did for kids during COVID and continue to do? I bet you'd find a lot.
Jim? All right, any other questions, any other discussion? All right.
It's a
Roll call.
motion, right?
Yeah, so it's a roll call vote.
Hybor,
Yes.
Steffes,
Yes.
Guardian, yes. DeHaan,
Yes.
Van Eck,
Yes.
Wonder Gem.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Nice job, Heather.
Thanks, Heather.
Thanks, Heather. All right, on to public comment. I've got five slips here. Mr. DeHaan will keep time. You'll have 5 minutes to address the board. We're going to start off with Jeff Johnston, and on deck is Kaylee Jansen.
Evening. Members of the board, fellow Grandville parents, friends and neighbors. I'm pleased, first of all, tonight to learn that Amy Campbell will fill the vacant board seat. But I'm not naive enough to think that maintaining a safe and respectful environment for all of our students is a given as a result. I think it would be foolish to take that for granted when we know there are people putting their hopes in presidential directives that aim to root out some of the basic and essential protections our students rely on. I find that ironic, since some of the same people like to use phrases like local control or parent rights to push back against ideas from Washington that they don't like. Much comes back to this term that opponents keep trying to paint as somehow sinister: DEI. And as long as some are going to keep harping on it as a plague, I'm going to keep holding it up as a cure for ills like the deep-seated mistrust that many of us struggle with when we see people as different from ourselves. It's worth considering what the president means when he goes about stamping out DEI. Just yesterday, we learned that the Department of Defense not only removed a profile of Vietnam War Medal of Honor recipient Charles Rogers from its website, but that the now defunct link has the letters DEI appended to the web address. Rogers was black, and that's enough to get him labeled and erased. Anyone needing help understanding the need for diversity, equity, and inclusion might consider my favorite current example. This book from 2007. A committee of VIPs and professionals from the Grand Rapids area put it together to promote Grand Rapids and the larger community of Kent, Ottawa, and Muskegon counties. Professional quality coffee table book. Rich DeVos is named as the author. So we've got big names here. And it starts with 200 pages of photos showcasing West Michigan, dining, art, beaches, parks, festivals, businesses, churches, you name it. It's great stuff, and if you were to ask the talented photographers, designers, and editors who put this together, I'm sure they would tell you that they chose the best content, the best on merit alone. But even though this three-county region is home to about 92,500 black people, and even though there are thousands of people in these 200 pages of photos, not one black man is among them. Not one black family is anywhere to be seen. In 200 pages, the few people who look to be non-white are mostly costumed dancers and performers. This is what happens when people with privilege and power claim that they pick the best on merit and don't see color. They are apt to neither look for it, nor choose it, nor even notice it in plain sight. DEI is not some weird subversive code. It stands for three ordinary words, meaning that we all deserve the same shot at success and a place at the table, meaning that no one should be denied a fair chance or rendered invisible because of someone else's narrow vision, meaning that it's to our mutual benefit to welcome everyone's priorities, perspectives, and solutions. I want to leave you with one takeaway tonight. Stop using the shorthand. It's too easy to pin ulterior motives on some cryptic sounding anagram or acronym. But you should think harder about what you're standing against when you come out against diversity, when you oppose equity, or when you reject inclusion. Thank you.
Kaylee Jansen is up next. And on deck, Adam Bush.
Hi, I just want to thank you guys for passionately serving our community. Thank you for working hard. Just looking at that financial report was anxiety inducing. I don't know how you guys do it, especially with everything that's going on. You're amazing. Thank you for making decisions that support all of our children. I know I didn't really get to celebrate with you guys in January. I found out a little too late. January was School Board Appreciation Month. But like I said, thank you. And thank you, Ms. Campbell, because I am looking forward to seeing someone with such an extensive background in mental health on this board. This is going to be amazing. I hope this is an awesome chapter for you and for our community.
Up next, Adam Bush. On deck, Pete Hybor.
I was originally coming up here simply to show some love and support for Bob, Joe, and Brent because, wow, you guys really took a beating at that last meeting. That was brutal. And the beatings continue online as we speak. So for what it's worth, guys, I appreciate what you do and for staying true to your convictions. I know it's tough when they come at you like that, so stay strong, stay true. You are not alone. And I was going to leave it at that until I recently saw the candidate rankings that each of you provided to Roger. Holy smokes, talk about the pot calling the kettle black. You other three up there, along with a handful of your unhinged supporters, continue to berate these guys based on how they rank their candidate choices. But Sally, Jason, Amy, you did the same exact thing. Amy, you even stated publicly after the vote that you gave extra points to anyone who previously ran for school board. How many extra points could you possibly have given Mary Gunther if you only ranked her 17 out of 19? How about you, Sally? Because you also ranked her 17 out of 19. And Jason, you ranked Mary 19 out of 19. Last place. Really? Do you three honestly believe that Mary Gunther is that unqualified, that unfit to serve on this board? Bottom of the barrel, worst of the bunch. Or is this more so because she ran against two of you in the last election? Or perhaps because she has apparently garnered support from such extreme groups as Ottawa Impact, or Moms for Liberty, or Grandville Parents for Education? The truth is that you ranked her that ridiculously low because you knew the other three board members would probably rank her high. And you did what you had to offset her score. Board members, I can appreciate different viewpoints, but I don't appreciate dishonesty or double standards. As the saying goes, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. So, kettle callers of the board, you can get off your high horses and stop being so judgmental. Your hypocrisy is oozing, and there was nothing objective about your candidate selections. Your decisions were made before those interviews even started, and it was strictly political. Don't pretend otherwise.
Up next, someone who should be home studying because he has senioritis, Pete Highboard. On deck, Alan Traxler.
I think I got all my homework done, actually.
Okay,
so
good. That's fantastic.
So 2 weeks ago, I came here to talk about, I talked about our conduct. But before that, I addressed you guys in concerns to the Freedom Rider we're going to bring in on the 25th. I am the founder and president of the Grandville Historical Society. And on March 25th, we are going to bring in a Freedom Rider to kind of, give an overview of his time on the Freedom Rides, his work in ministry and segregated areas of Chicago, and just uplifting disenfranchised youth. And so I have details now. I'd say again, connect with my dad about, if you're very interested in it, it's going to happen from 9 o'clock to I'd say 12. So obviously, if you're interested at all on the 25th, please show up. I'd be very honored to. That invitation extends to you, Mrs. Campbell. So I would like to note that after I spoke about our general conduct concerning the vacancy, I received a lot of in-person interaction at school specifically. And to my surprise, there was a lot of people who I guess I didn't know followed school board policy, or who haven't even really talked to me that much, who came up to me and said, "Thank you for saying that." I think Roger brought up a really good point when he said, "How are we going to move forward for this?" The students of Grandville High School, they see this. They're not all here, but they're watching 2 days, weeks later, and they understand what's going on. So I guess I don't know if it's a lack of just perspective on who's watching, but people are watching. I think with the addition of Mrs. Campbell, I think hopefully we can move in a better direction. Thank you.
Thank you. And it's Mr. Barra, please. Thank you. All right.
Oh, sorry. Pete, I'll just say one of my favorite coaching moments is still you hitting a home run, and you were probably in 3rd grade. I think you hit it to the fence in right field.
Alan Traxler.
Hello, good evening. The Robo-Dogs recently, I believe, had some funding cut. Sorry if I'm not up on all the details. I believe it may have been federal funding. I was a little surprised that the funding was even used, because I didn't, well, first of all, in my ignorance, I didn't know that some of that was used, and disappointed that it got cut. So surprised that it was in play, surprised it got cut, and then disappointed, because any kind of cut from any program, you need to make that up. So the parents might have to step up. We might have to do some more fundraising. We might have to do some possible personal donations. I'm fortunate enough that we can contribute in those ways, maybe by participating in fundraising, maybe donating. But I know not everybody can do that. I hope the value of RoboDogs is appreciated by the board and by the community. From the way I see it, the kids get a chance to program, so they get to learn a programming language, because the robots run on like different kinds of code. And they get to build a robot, they get to plan it out and do lots of practicing. So the skills there are, you know, some science, some technology, some engineering, and I thought that kind of stuff was really valued. Not everybody values art and music. So given that this cut occurred, I'm concerned about future program cuts in funding for other extracurriculars. And I know that some sports are also more valued than other sports. So I just have my own personal concerns about what could be occurring in the future. I have a request that maybe the board could prepare for future cuts in some ways regarding extracurriculars, because some more may be coming, and it's best to have a plan to prepare ahead of time rather than be caught flat-footed. So thank you for your consideration, and they all did wonderful. Seeing them play at the state championship was incredible. It's a well-run program, and I hope all of you value it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. That concludes our meeting. The next regular board meeting of the Grandville Board of Education will be Monday, April 21st, so in 4 weeks or so after spring break at 7 p.m. at the Administration Building. Happy St. Patrick's Day. We are adjourned.